Galactic Council Chamber was one of the most impressive structures in the known galaxy. It was a massive dome of crystal and steel that hung above a planet rich with oceans and bright green continents. Thousands of alien delegates sat in their raised platforms, speaking in whispers that echoed through the hall. Each species had its own colors, its own clothing, and its own strange mannerisms, but together they formed the ruling body of the galaxy. They had power to set laws, end wars, and decide punishments for those who defied them. Today all eyes were fixed on a single figure standing at the center of the chamber. A human, Ambassador Daniel Reeve of Earth, stood tall, his black suit plain compared to the elaborate robes and shimmering gowns worn by alien representatives. His face was calm, his posture strong, though he knew every gaze upon him was hostile. The council had summoned him to answer for what they called disrespect against the Chancellor. The accusation sounded absurd to him. At the opening ceremony, he had refused to kneel. He had chosen to stand as humans did. To him it was not defiance, it was dignity. But to the council it was rebellion. The High Chancellor, a towering alien with silver skin and four glowing eyes, raised his long arm and pointed at Daniel. "You were given a simple order," he declared, his voice amplified through hidden speakers. "You refused. You have shown arrogance. You insulted the entire council." Daniel's voice was steady as he replied, "With respect, Chancellor, I represent Earth. On Earth we kneel only in worship or in grief. To kneel before another leader would be a betrayal of my people's values. I came here to build peace, not to bow." The hall erupted with noise. Some species hissed, others shouted. A few looked away, clearly uncomfortable with the trial. The Chancellor slammed his hand against the railing, calling for silence. "Your words mean nothing. You humans have been part of this council for only a few decades, and already you act as if you are our equals. This arrogance cannot continue." Daniel raised his chin. His heart was pounding, but he showed no fear. "Equality is not arrogance. We do not come here to rule. We come here to stand beside you. But if you demand submission, then you will never understand humanity." The Chancellor's four eyes burned with cold light. His voice cut through the air like a blade. "Then humanity will pay for your insolence. Let this be a warning to your kind." The council guards moved in, tall armored figures carrying energy staffs. Daniel did not resist. He understood what was about to happen. This was no trial. This was a performance, a show of power meant to humiliate Earth. He had suspected it from the moment he was summoned. Still, he stood proudly as the guards seized him by the arms. A few alien delegates shouted in protest. The representative of the Chiron, a reptilian race known for their honor, stood and called out, "This is madness. You cannot execute a diplomat. It breaks every law of interstellar conduct." Others joined, though fewer than Daniel hoped. Most remained silent, unwilling to risk their own standing. The Chancellor waved his hand, and the guards dragged Daniel to the platform in the center of the chamber. A shimmering field of light surrounded him, a containment bubble that no prisoner could escape. Daniel looked around the chamber, his eyes sweeping across thousands of faces. He saw hatred. He saw curiosity. He saw fear. But he also saw a few glimmers of sympathy, even respect. He smiled faintly. He had lived his life as a soldier, then as a diplomat. He had known this day might come. In a firm voice, he spoke one last time. "If you do this, you are not warning humanity. You are warning yourselves. We are patient. We are builders. But when pushed too far, we are something else entirely. Remember my words when the storm comes." The Chancellor gave a signal. Light flashed inside the containment field. In an instant, Daniel's body collapsed to the ground, lifeless. The human envoy was gone. The chamber was silent for several seconds. Then the Chancellor's voice boomed. "Let all races remember this day. Earth is not above the law. Earth will obey or Earth will suffer." The council applauded, though the sound was uneven. Some clapped with eagerness, others reluctantly, and some remained still, staring in horror at what had been done. Across the galaxy, millions watched the broadcast. For the council, it was meant as a show of strength. For Earth, it was an unforgivable wound. Far away, on Earth itself, screens in cities and towns went dark after the transmission ended. Silence spread like a shadow. People stood frozen in shock. Children who had admired Daniel as a hero cried openly. Veterans clenched their fists, their jaws tight with rage. Leaders of nations sat together in the underground command bunker beneath the Capitol. The room was dim, filled with maps and glowing screens showing the faces of generals and admirals connected from every colony. For long moments, no one spoke. The air was heavy. The only sound was the hum of machines. At last, the president of Earth, a woman with silver hair and steady eyes, rose from her chair. She looked around the room, her voice firm and calm. They have taken our envoy. They have mocked our dignity. They believe we will bow. They believe fear will silence us. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink into every heart. Then she spoke the ancient phrase, a phrase written in Earth's deepest defense archives, known only to the highest command. Activate Annihilation Protocol. The room filled with a chill silence. Generals exchanged grim looks. Admirals nodded slowly. The order was clear. Across Earth and her colonies, silent codes were transmitted to hidden stations, secret shipyards, and long-dormant programs. Humanity had not wanted this war, but now humanity would no longer wait. In the dark of space, humanity began to prepare. The galaxy waited for Earth's reaction. Many believed humans would send another envoy to beg forgiveness. Others thought Earth would stay silent, too weak to challenge the Galactic Council. Yet those who truly knew humanity watched with unease, because silence was never the way of Earth. On the third day after Daniel Reeves' execution, strange signals began to ripple across human space. They were not public transmissions. They were codes buried deep in ancient systems, activated only in times of greatest danger. Entire networks lit up across Earth, Mars, Titan, and distant colonies on the edge of known space. Silent commands reached old stations hidden in asteroid belts, vaults buried under barren moons, and fleets that had never been listed on any official registry. Inside Earth's underground command bunker, the atmosphere had shifted. The sorrow of loss was gone, replaced by iron determination. Generals stood over holographic maps of the galaxy, marking targets, supply routes, and staging areas. Admirals issued coded orders to shipyards where construction began without delay. Civilian leaders approved full mobilization. The words Annihilation Protocol had been spoken, and now there was no turning back. Factories that once produced farming machines were converted overnight to build weapons and armor. Cargo ships were reinforced and fitted with hidden cannons. Asteroid colonies that had long been considered simple mining posts revealed hangars filled with half-completed warships. It became clear that humanity had prepared for such a day long ago. They had hidden their strength, waiting for the moment when survival demanded its release. Ordinary people did not hesitate. On Earth streets, posters called for volunteers. On Mars, entire neighborhoods signed up as one, declaring they would fight together. In the colonies, miners, engineers, and scientists left their normal work and reported for military duty. The death of Daniel Reeve had become a symbol of Earth's pride. His last words, "Remember when the storm comes," were repeated everywhere, in schools, in factories, in training camps. Humanity was no longer divided by nations or politics. Humanity stood united. Across the galaxy, alien spies reported back to their governments. The council chambers buzzed with panic as the reports poured in. Human fleets were moving in ways no one expected. What had once seemed like a modest defense force suddenly appeared larger, faster, and better equipped. New ship designs were sighted, vessels far beyond what humans had shown in previous years. Some even whispered that humanity had hidden entire fleets from the council, preparing for the day they might be betrayed. In the capital of the Chiron Republic, a reptilian senator watched the reports with a mix of respect and fear. The humans warned them, he muttered to his colleagues. They do not start wars. But once a war is forced upon them, they do not stop until it is finished. The Chiron remembered old human history. They remembered how small tribes had once fought empires on Earth and survived. They remembered how humans had crossed oceans, mountains, and even space itself, never backing down when challenged. The first demonstration came 2 weeks after Daniel's execution. A council listening post orbiting near the border of human space suddenly vanished. One moment it was sending signals. The next there was only silence. No distress call, no debris, nothing but the faint echo of a star flaring unnaturally bright. Later scans revealed that space itself had bent unnaturally in that region, as if folded by some unseen force. The council's scientists were shaken. No known weapon in the galaxy could cause such an effect, except perhaps a weapon of Earth that no one had ever seen before. When news of the vanished station reached the council chamber, fear spread quickly. Delegates whispered about ancient human projects with names like Nemesis and Orpheus. Most had dismissed these as rumors. But now doubt filled their minds. If even one of these weapons were real, what else could humanity be hiding? The Chancellor tried to calm the assembly. He declared, "Earth is bluffing. They cannot stand against us all." But even as he spoke, his eyes betrayed unease. The reports did not look like bluffs. Meanwhile, in human space, life had changed completely. Streets that once bustled with casual trade now thundered with military convoys. Factories ran day and night. Families sent their children into training academies, believing it their duty to defend their species. Ships carrying recruits left Earth daily, traveling to massive orbital stations where they would be trained for war. The President of Earth addressed her people in a global broadcast. Her image appeared on every screen, her voice clear and steady. "Our envoy was executed not for a crime but for his dignity. The Council believes humanity will bow. They are wrong. We did not come this far across the stars to kneel. We came to stand tall. From this moment, we prepare not only for our defense but for justice. We will not be erased. We will not be silenced, and we will never forget." The broadcast echoed across the colonies, filling every human heart with pride and resolve. Even those who had once doubted Earth's role in galactic affairs now stood with their people. The execution that was meant to divide and humiliate had instead united humanity more than ever before. Allies of the Council began to whisper in fear. The Celery, a bird-like race, questioned their loyalty to the Chancellor. The Orvans, known for their trade fleets, debated withdrawing from Council military support altogether. Everyone feared what Earth's Annihilation protocol truly meant. Then came the second shock. Without warning, a fleet of human warships appeared at the edge of a Council-controlled sector. They moved faster than anyone thought possible, crossing distances in days that normally took weeks. The Council dispatched interceptors expecting to overwhelm them, but the battle did not go as planned. The humans used tactics no Council fleet had ever seen: feints, sudden retreats, and surprise ambushes. Their ships were not the largest, but they struck with surgical precision. Within hours, the interceptors were gone, and the human fleet had disappeared back into the shadows. The message was clear: Earth could strike whenever it chose, and the Council could not stop it. In the Council chambers, fear was no longer hidden. Delegates shouted at one another, accusing the Chancellor of pushing too far. Some demanded immediate negotiations. Others called for total war. The chamber, once united, was now filled with cracks. But on Earth there was no hesitation. Humanity had already chosen its path. The preparations continued, faster and stronger than ever before. Every day more recruits filled the ranks. Every day more ships left the docks. The storm Daniel had spoken of was no longer coming. It had already begun. The Council's capital world, Zareth Prime, had never known fear. For centuries, its skies had been calm, its orbit patrolled by fleets so vast that no enemy dared to attack. The great chamber where delegates gathered was built to inspire awe and authority. Yet now that same chamber shook with the sound of argument and panic. Reports from every sector flooded in. Human fleets were striking with speed and precision. Listening posts were gone. Patrol squadrons were destroyed. Supply lines were cut. The Council had underestimated the humans, and now the galaxy was paying the price. The High Chancellor raised his 4 glowing eyes and slammed his staff against the floor. "We are the Council," he roared. "We cannot bow to a species so young, so reckless. They are fewer than us, smaller than us. They cannot defeat us all." But many delegates no longer believed his words. The Chiron representative stood tall, his scaled skin gleaming under the chamber lights. "You executed their envoy in cold blood. You insulted their honor. And now you see the result. They are not bowing. They are rising." Others joined, their voices trembling. Their fleets appear and vanish like ghosts. They fight as if they have studied every battle in history. "We are losing ships faster than we can replace them." The chamber was chaos. Some demanded negotiation, others demanded more war. Yet one truth spread across every heart: humanity could not be ignored. Far from the Council world, the human fleet gathered in silence. Massive carriers floated alongside sleek destroyers and hidden dreadnoughts. At the heart of this force was Admiral Celine Carter, a veteran of Earth's earlier space wars. She stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Resolve, her hands clasped behind her back as she looked at the star maps. "Our fleets are ready," her first officer reported. Council reinforcements are scattered. Their lines are broken. We can strike Zareth Prime directly. Admiral Carter's expression was calm, but her voice carried weight. We did not choose this war, but they will learn why Earth survives when others fall. Prepare the fleet. Across human space, messages were sent to every colony and every soldier. The words were simple. The reckoning begins. The attack on Zareth Prime came without warning. Thousands of human ships appeared at the edge of the system, their arrival bending space in a way the Council had never seen before. Human scientists had unlocked hidden paths through the void, allowing their fleets to travel faster than light itself. To the Council defenders, it seemed as if the humans had stepped out of nowhere. The first clash was brutal. Council warships poured fire into the approaching human fleet, their beams lighting up the void. But humanity had come prepared. Shields shimmered, deflecting attacks. Missiles weaved through defenses, striking with precision. Human ships fought not with sheer size, but with intelligence. Every maneuver was calculated, every strike perfectly timed. Within hours, the once proud defensive ring around Zareth Prime was broken. Human ships pressed forward, driving straight toward the capital world. Panic spread through the Council's surface cities as alarms blared. For the first time, the Council's people looked to the skies and saw fire. In the chamber, the Chancellor tried to maintain control. "Deploy the reserve fleets," he ordered. "Do not let them reach us." But the reserves were too slow. The humans were already in orbit. Then, as if the battle itself were not enough, the humans revealed their ultimate weapon. At the edge of the system, a structure emerged from folded space. It was not a ship, but something larger, a dark spear of metal kilometers long surrounded by glowing rings. The humans called it Project Nemesis. Council sensors struggled to understand what it was. Then the truth became clear when the structure activated. Space trembled. A beam of pure energy lanced outward, touching the surface of a barren moon orbiting Zareth Prime. In a blinding flash, the moon cracked apart, breaking into fragments that drifted like dust. The galaxy had seen planet-destroying weapons before, but never with such precision, such control. Messages spread instantly. Fear consumed the chamber. Delegates shouted, "They can destroy worlds. They will end us all. We must surrender." The Chancellor's voice was shaken for the first time. "This cannot be real. They would not dare use such a weapon against us." But even as he spoke, Admiral Carter broadcast a message across the system. Her image appeared on every screen. Her voice calm and steady. "People of the galaxy, hear this. Humanity did not come here seeking war. We came for peace. But your leaders chose arrogance and cruelty. They executed our envoy thinking it would break us. Instead, it united us. We stand together, not as beggars, not as servants, but as equals. If you force us to fight, we will fight until no threat remains. This is your last chance to end this war with words instead of ashes." The broadcast ended and silence followed. Across the galaxy, billions held their breath. The humans had shown their strength. They had proven they could end worlds. But they had also offered a choice. Inside the chamber, fear turned to collapse. Delegates shouted at one another, accusing the Chancellor of destroying everything with his pride. Some openly declared they would no longer follow his command. One by one, allied species began to break away, declaring neutrality or offering to negotiate with Earth. The once mighty Council was falling apart from within. On the surface of Zareth Prime, people gathered in the streets not to fight, but to beg their leaders to surrender. They knew that resisting humanity now would only bring ruin. At last, even the Chancellor's voice faltered. Surrounded by broken allies, abandoned by his supporters, he lowered his head. "Send word," he said quietly. "We will negotiate." The news spread quickly. Across Earth and the colonies, cheers erupted. Humanity had stood against the galaxy and prevailed. But more than victory, they had earned respect. Admiral Carter gave the final order to her fleet. "Hold position. We have made our point. Now let them decide what future they want." The human fleet remained in orbit, silent but unmovable, like a storm waiting to be unleashed. And in that silence, the galaxy understood a truth it would never forget. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not to be humiliated. Humanity was not to be executed without consequence. Humanity was the storm.